Brandon.
Hey, how you doing?
Nice to meet you, man. This is awesome. So thanks for taking the time, sitting down with INvets, sitting down with me to be able to talk about like your story. And I hope you like the coffee.
It's great. It's a local coffee shop, Federal, in downtown Paradise, as I like to call it.
So it was funny. So I get here at 10:45 and I'm like, okay, I have plenty of time. I asked the girls, I'm like, so coffee nearby? They're like, oh yeah, Federal, really close. I'm like, you think I can go to 15? They're like, yeah, for sure. Then I walk in and I see the order that only would be ordered with somebody that's in a hurry. 4 like 17 ingredient drinks.
Yeah.
Hot chocolates with this and that, like a drink I'd never even heard of. Like they have like a special drink with it. So I was like, oh, this is not looking.
Now you're looking at the watch.
I'm like, well, so this is going to be where I walk in and tell the mayor, I'm sorry for late, but I do bring gifts.
So that's like pretty interesting. I'm happy you said that. Like being a Ranger, being in 3rd Ranger Battalion, still being in the National Guard as well. Very rarely when the uniform's on was I ever late. It's always early, right? You're sitting there like, man, some guy told me to be here at 5. We're not stepping off till 6.
Classic.
Here, 50% of my days, by 9:30 a.m., I am off cycle by 5 to 10 minutes.
You're already,
Already gone.
Yeah.
The other days I'm good, but sometimes I'm like, what? I'm like, guys, we got to stick to a timeline. And they're like, young man, this is the real world where not everyone shows up on time with their documents ready to go. And I'm like,
with a first sergeant.
I know. That's what the United States of America needs right now. Is not necessarily a president and Congress, but I think everyone actually needs a first sergeant. One of the cool ones, not one of the ones who's like, did you get the drip pans laid out?
Right, and that's a tough one. You know, I think the Marine Corps does it really well with their first sergeants. Like I'll talk to a dude who got out in 2005. He's been doing first sergeant duty since. Like he didn't stop being a first sergeant because he punched out. You know what I mean? Like he's like, I know what every Marine in where he North Central Indiana. He's like, I know what they're. I was like, that culture is impressive. I'm an Air Force guy, so it's a little different. That role is handled differently. Well, again, thanks for taking the time. Yo, where are you from? I did some research on you, you know, of course, before we sat down. I think you have a Cambodian mom.
I've got a Cambodian father. He survived genocide in Pol Pot. So he remembers when America left Vietnam and what happened in a third world nation. You know, he's very big on military service. He is like the ultimate patriot. Loves July 4th. Loves Thanksgiving. You want to know who goes hard on Thanksgiving? People who immigrated here because they're like, we did not have this where we're from. And my mom, youngest of 10 kids from Jamaica, grew up on a coffee bean farm. They met at Brooklyn Hospital when he was doing his residency, and he chose Terre Haute, Indiana.
All right, well, hold on, because I am a coffee guy. This is why this was so important. I went to do a local Terre Haute, the Federal, which the coffee is great.
Good. Free shout out. Go to Federal. Use the discount code Mayor15.
But I bet if you tell them, hey, Brandon, we know Brandon. Yeah. So the coffee's great. Grew up on a coffee. Do you have any? Like, do you know what kind of coffee?
Absolutely not.
Okay. So
goes straight over my head.
Okay.
But she's super into agriculture. Like her on her property in the city. Her and my dad, they got quite the garden. Very impressive. So she's still in agriculture as a hobby.
Because you know Jamaica produces some of the best coffee in the world.
It's amazing.
$56 a pound.
It goes up there.
That volcanic ashes with shade.
Is that it?
That's what they say. That's the extent of like my nerd knowledge on coffee. Yeah. So that I think that's part of it. But I've never been able to meet anyone. So my family's Portuguese, Hawaii. They were macadamia nut farmers.
So a lot of my dad's side of the family, when they immigrated and left Cambodia, are in Hawaii.
Yeah. Well, they like that. Yeah, that way. So we have family. The Pimentels are in Honolulu. Yeah. My grandfather watched World War, like Pearl Harbor, happen from his house.
Jeez.
And then that was like, you know, next dude up type, you know, mentality back then. So it was pretty. But yeah. Well, so my grandfather says that. So the Cambodians did a really good job at keeping peace, I guess, because it was like the Portuguese and the Filipinos on Friday night. They would just go out after working a hard week, go to separate bars, and meet at the same bar, but not to be friends.
Interesting.
That was like in every Friday night rotation. and then dispersed.
Hey, we don't have that in Terre Haute. We don't have our ethnic bars meeting at one bar. Make that point clear. Our public safety departments are great. So they moved to Terre Haute. My older brother was born in Brooklyn. He was 1 when we moved here. I was born here. I've got 2 younger sisters who were also born here. Went to Terre Haute South. My brother went to the Naval Academy, became a Marine infantry officer, national champion boxer, but he's only 5'6", so he didn't have the hair like me, so he wasn't a ranger, right? He wasn't 6 foot with hair.
He gives everybody something, and then he takes one.
Yeah, and he takes one thing away. I went to IU to study finance, joined ROTC, loved it. Great mix of both. I did active duty, went to the infantry officer course. Then I went to Fort Irwin, California, and I was like pissed. I made it through Ranger School, made it through Airborne. They had a couple slots at the 82nd, and I didn't get it, right? I wasn't a West Point guy, and my dad wasn't a general, and they're like, just go to Irwin for a year. Hopefully the regiment will reach out. The regiment reaches out. They're looking for young officers. But what I do say is I learned so much at Fort Irwin. When you're just doing rotation after rotation, I think it is a great place for second lieutenants, first lieutenants, and really majors to learn and grow in the military. I loved being out there. Went to RASP 2, joined 375 Bravo Company. I was able to be on staff for a little bit. Stops on deployment, became a ground force commander at the platoon level, became an XO at the company level. Loved it. Sat down with my senior rater, I still talk to you today, said, hey sir, I think I want to get out. And he's like, no, think about it, you can be a ranger commander, which was my other dream. And so I sat back and I thought, I just want a different pace and I want to give back more stateside. She's like, well, what are you going to do? I said, I might be a consultant. He said, hold on. Because I was getting my master's at the time, and there's a program there, the Ranger for Life program. There's a number of special operations, veteran groups that help people transition. Had a career coach, and a headhunter. They're all in on MBA programs or working. BCG, they were a huge company that was hiring at the time. And I just didn't really feel an attachment. And I remember the woman I was working with, the career coach, she's like, you will not stop talking about Terre Haute. You are just locked in on this. Because I'm a huge believer in these Midwest cities. Anderson, Kokomo, Muncie, Terre Haute, Elkhart, South Bend. Manufacturing slows down in terms of total jobs. Productivity increases. You don't have Sony DADC hiring 1,000 people anymore. You have them hiring 200. So a lot of these communities never diversified their local economy, and that just crushed them over a 20-year period. As more families were moving, instead of moving in, they were moving out. So I've always said in some of these Midwest communities, you got to diversify the economy. You need this is an oversimplification here, but you need 10 white-collar companies to hire 5 people each at 85 to 115,000. Yeah. Just as badly as you need a new blue-collar company to hire 50 people at 50 to 70,000, right? You need to create an economy that if a recession happens, or if tariffs happen and there's a pause in construction, you are not going to feel the net impacts of that. And so at the local level, you're essentially rolling the dice consistently saying, hey, do state and federal decisions, how much are they going to affect our local economy? It's a very targeted approach. So just like business, your portfolio, when you invest, you're doing some diversity in your investments, and we've taken that approach here. All that to say, I'm so passionate about these Class 2 cities that aren't Indianapolis and County. But they have potential to grow and develop if we put the right investments in, if our focus is on the right things like quality schools, strong public safety, clean streets, addressing urban blight. And I'm going on and on, right? And this woman, this career coach, is sitting there just like...
Oh, so you were doing this then?
Oh, yeah. And I'm preaching.
Now you did your MPA at IU, and you did your finance undergrad.
So we're sitting there on Zoom. Yeah. I was in Qatar at the time, actually. And she's like, hey, I don't know how to tell you this, but you're not going to be able to do that at BCG. I'm like, yeah, well, there's a mayor's race. And she's like, wait, let's kind of peel the onion here. And I'm like, yeah. And so in 3rd grade, I had a teacher who was acting out. She calls my dad. She's like, what do I do? And he's like, hey, make him read. Right? So I'm in the corner reading book about government. There's 1 to 2 pages on a mayor. Does Terre Haute have a mayor? She goes, yeah, you can do it too one day. Very supportive. I don't know if she was joking because I'm in 3rd grade, right? So I go, I'm going to be the mayor one day. And
well, you were in trouble. It was classic that young man doesn't want to do what he should.
You used to go to Bob.
First ring all is starting to line up.
Zoom with me. She's like, hey, she's like, I gotta be honest, like you need to take a shot at this, or it won't happen for a while because life will happen.
Right.
You know, your family, kids, moving, you'll have a good income. So when are you going to step away from that to run? So I moved back to town, started substitute teaching, and announced a mayoral campaign. And I went door to door. And my predecessor's a great man, Mayor Duke Bennett. And I was always like, hey, look, this isn't about him. This is about a new vision and taking a step forward. This is about what can we be if we invest in quality of life, infrastructure, public safety, if we adjust a couple of our economic development priorities. This is about, truthfully, not just making Terre Haute great, what it once was, but making it exceptional by balancing the past, taking action in the present to build a new future for a community. And a lot of people are like, young man, can you get off my porch? Because I thought you were a blind salesman. A lot of other folks are like, this message is resonating, and it worked out in the election.
It did, and that was 2023. That's right. And so when did you leave active duty?
December 30, 2022.
Okay, so you came straight home. So you knew, just for service members that are kind of backing up, looking at that 12 months out. So January of 22, were you aware?
So I did not do what you should do if you're watching this podcast and plan a year out. I made this decision in October of 2022, coming back from a deployment. So imagine you're clearing posts, you're going through the VA process, all of that in 60 days. The regiment was very good about, hey, here's what you need to do, here's where you need to go, here's who you need to talk to expedite things. But I always recommend, do not do what I did. Like a 60-day clearing of the Army is very difficult.
And that's not, but you were aware of that 60 days. Like, I'm gonna run for office.
Yeah.
So your transition assistance program was pretty fast. But also you weren't looking for a lot of what's being provided in there.
Yes.
So the career support, the resume construction,
a lot of that was pre-done. And a lot of that, those are skills that I learned at the Kelly School of Business. Some of that, get the resume ready. Here's what it should look like. I did follow a couple of Instagram accounts that had some tools on there, and I was doing an online master's at the time. So that helped accelerate. I did 2 in-person classes, the rest online. Okay. And I do think that helped me accelerate the timeline, because I got back 2 days before Thanksgiving and cleared 4 banning before.
I don't think that's common.
That's not fun.
No, not fun nor common. And the Army usually doesn't.
No, it's very hard in the bureaucratic government engine called the United States Army to get things moving that quickly.
That's incredible. Okay, so kind of a non-normal transition out of active duty. How did you decide to go into the Guard?
Because I wanted to stay in. I love the Army. I'm the guy who's like, man, if you're commander at the battalion and company level, because truthfully, they have that good relationship with the first sergeant and sergeant major. They can work with an S3 to plan quality training that's not just standing around waiting for a can to live fire. That's why guys stay in. And I was like, I feel like I can do that. I've enjoyed my time. I want to be a company commander. I want to keep, doing platoon sticks, training for deployment, seeing if our company gets called upon. So during this 4 weeks, I reached out to the Guard recruiter. And the Guard recruiter...
This is also a surprise, because they want like 90 days.
Yes.
To do your...
So he's spaz. He's amazing.
Okay, so
he's like, young man, I can help you. You make this. He calls the state of Indiana Guard. The battalion commander of the battalion that I moved to knew a guy at ILE who was my Ranger Regiment XL, and they were friends because they were neighbors. So we had a battalion commander here in the state who was in AWG for a while and attached with them. He calls his buddies in the regiment. They're like, yes, you should help him out. So he just is like sprinting now to like J1 or G1, whatever. Like, hey, he's going to come to my battalion. I'll do the paperwork if it's going to take time. The sergeant major of my battalion was a private in Bravo Company, 3rd Ranger Battalion. During the Haditha Dam, that whole operation, his platoon leader was Graham White, who was my battalion commander when I first got to regiment. So now he's calling his old private, who's now a sergeant major, like, I got a young captain, can you help him? And the Indiana Guard made it a very seamless process, coming in from active duty to the Guard. Your paperwork can be delayed when you clear post, if you're going to the Guard, because there's still some military system. But if you're out, it's very hard to get forms signed or something done.
Get out until you know you want to be out.
Yeah, so it was like best case scenario that like I left, I was able to stay on TRICARE, able to move with insurance and still get, you know, some part-time wages with the Guard, but still get to do what I love to do, which is maneuver in the company and the platoons.
Yeah.
Right. And I love that level of leadership. I love that type of operation. The battalion stuff gets a little bit, you know, that's when the bureaucracy is there, but it's been a great transition.
And your experience in battalion transitions over nicely. I mean, that you're no longer a part of Ranger Battalion.
Yeah. And we've got a number of guys in the Indiana National Guard, as well as other state Guard units. This is not just Indiana specific here. We've got a lot of active duty guys in. So our platoon sergeants in my company, all three have active duty experience.
That's huge.
Our platoon leaders, I think some of the best National Guard platoon leaders are green to gold. It's very hard to commission an ROTC, take a platoon, wait 2 years, then go to BOLIC and have that baseline understanding, right? It's very hard to do that. So I say in the Guard, the best platoon leaders that I've worked with in the few years that I've been here are ones who are prior enlisted. I mean, when we're doing the draft for new PLs, I'm like, that guy was an E6 or that guy was an E5, now he's a second lieutenant. I want him in my company because he has been in the system longer. When you're active duty and you commission, you're going straight to BOLIC. And then you're going straight to a staff, or if you go straight to a platoon, you've already had a chance to go to Ranger School and Airborne, so you're doing it every day. And your learning curve, these learning curves are difficult for young officers, but you're there every day. And your first platoon sergeant can get you up to speed. He can be like, hey sir, you're not doing that. Here's why. In the Guard, when it's only once a month, it's harder to have that conversation, right? So I'm a big fan of the Green and Gold program.
So I know it's a little backup, but what was it that led you to ROTC?
So I had thought about going to a service academy like my brother, and then I thought, man, I could do 12-ounce curls. Bang, bang, in a Big Ten school. This is Indiana, right? Plays Hoosiers, studying finance. Wolf of Wall Street came out my junior year. I'm like, I'm totally going to go to New York. But I honestly wanted a normal college experience. And ROTC said, hey, look, you can do the military. You can be a normal guy, young guy, go into fraternity, study whatever you want to study, and you can still commission. And that's what really motivated me is being able to do both, not just the Army. Another reason why I enjoy the Guard, I'm able to be mayor, I'm able to be in the Guard. A lot of guys in the Guard, I mean, you hear what they're doing. It's like, you get a guy who's a SWAT guy, INPD, just wealth of knowledge. We got a DEA agent. We've got a guy who's a mattress salesman who can just crush a team live fire on a saw. And I'm like, I would not mess with him if I was at his mattress company.
Funny.
You got HVAC, construction trades. And when you mix these guys together, I mean, you just sit there and it's like, wait a second, I got a question about my home. Hey, come here, specialist, real quick. I want you to, look at you. What do you think here? But I do love what the Guard does, bringing people together, because it's you have two careers.
Yeah, I had the same experience in the Kentucky Air National Guard at the 123rd. And it's interesting when so many different folks come
What
in.
do you do?
I'm a SEER specialist. So the 123rd's at SCS. So we're doing a workout. We're headed to the Caribbean Classic Air Force.
Way to just rub it in. Anyone who's watching this is like, I might go to the Air Guard because they're going to the Caribbean, and that captain just said, yeah, we're training for Fort Polk in Louisiana. Thanks, I just lost my recruiting numbers.
Yes, I'm sorry. But we're sitting in a mission room, and I'm coming in as a full-time, I've got a full-time job helping service members, which is unique on me. So I get to actually help those guys as they're looking at making that next move out. Like, what kind of things do you do? Like I become like, I get to do like consulting, if you will, for their career. But that's because of the Guard tightness coming from different places. But at one time, we shared a similar suffering, right? Like of active duty or whatever schoolhouse you went to or selection, whatever that was, you bring that knowledge together. And I do think I think it makes the team better.
And I'll add, in the regiment, what I loved is we had so many E6, E7, even E8s going on, not just for undergrad, but for master's degrees.
Yeah.
And they are crushing a 20-year career because it's a triangle there, right? There's only room for 3 to 4 sergeant majors, 2 to 3 regimental sergeant majors. So a lot of these guys, high caliber guys, they're making decisions 3 years early on schooling or what they're going to do. And I think, a lot of people who are like, hey, I want to stay in 20 years, it's like, you are going to face the same conversations that a 5-year guy or an 8-year guy or a 10-year guy faces just a little bit later down the road. So maybe you chip away at it over 5 years, over 7 years, whether that's education, credentialing, or even networking. And I was really impressed at the way the regiment pushes, advanced education, family, financial planning. It meant a lot because it wasn't like we're just taking care of the young captain and the young sergeant who wants to get out. It's like, that's a Ranger for life mentality.
And interesting, I like that you brought that up because when that 5-year mark, I might say is easier. If you're making that decision to transition out of the military at that 5, then the 20-year. Because like you talked about having white collar and the blue collar positions, those white collar positions are looking for years of experience relative to
the field generally,
their industry. And the service member is bringing years of experience, but in a different industry.
Exactly.
And that's one of the conversations that we try to have with corporation. Please understand that veteran has done X, Y, and Z. They're going to pick up whatever specialty you have. They're going to pick it up.
Yeah, they just need a couple of weeks, couple of months of training, hands-on experience. I mean, it's like, any sort of hiring process. Like here, as the city's executive, with about 600 employees, predominantly full-time as well as a handful of part-time. It's very, when you're hiring, it's like, all right, what's your coachability? One hiring that I do get pretty involved in is on the public safety side. Is I'm like, okay, is that young man or young woman coachable?
That's right.
You got to be able to be coachable because someone else is going to tell you what to do. You've got a team leader. It's not the military. It's a shift manager, a shift officer if you're in law enforcement, or fire station captain and lieutenant who's with you. So that's a very good comment of like, hey, you've got these skills. How do we transfer them over?
And so often. So coachability, if you don't mind, like what other character traits do you think are like definable for the veteran but helpful for industry?
I think, and this one's kind of cheesy, it's like it goes back to selfless service. Like you're super committed to the military, to your teams, to your squads, to your platoons, to your company, and that loyalty aspect. When you combine loyalty and selfless service, like to be quite frank, in the civilian workforce, people are jumping careers every 2 years. They're always looking for another paycheck. They're looking what's benefiting themselves. When you see the loyalty, when you see the way that a lot of these veterans are and what they're pushing for, that's a big trait. I try to look forward as much as we can in civilian hiring. All right, is this guy sacrificing for the team here? Is he going to be okay with staying a little bit later or coming in earlier so he can leave earlier in the day to, be at a family event? Or are they willing to do some overtime or different comp time situations?
And so in Terre Haute, now you're here, one question I did want to ask you is what led you to the MPA?
Experience in public finance and public policy, because predominantly my education was in private finance and corporate finance. And in the military, I did some military budget work, and it's like, let's see how we can combine these, this real world experience, this undergraduate education with a master's program to make it to where running municipal budgets was not, you didn't have such a massive learning curve.
And you did that in the time?
Yeah, miserable. Yeah, it's very difficult.
Can you go into a little bit?
I did it in about a year and a half. It takes time, right? When you're taking 9 to 12 credit hours, and you're doing a full training cycle, coming back and it's late, 1, 2 in the morning. It's like, I gotta do an hour of class real quick. But it can be very difficult.
Asynchronous or?
No, thankfully. No, I had 1 or 2 that were live, but mostly they were all asynchronous. And you should, I always tell veterans or people in the military, look for that. You can watch the recorded lecture. It's going to help with time. But I enjoyed it. Yeah, it was very, very beneficial.
There's a lot of meat right there. And, how many, my friends, right? It's like, oh man, I'm busy. But think that 3 years down. Like, where would you like to see yourself if? Like, what happens if a med board happens? Like, I don't know what the Army's doing, but I know a ton of people that are getting med boarded. And what did you, like 5 years ago, what were you thinking? What would have you liked to have done 5 years ago?
Probably start the course significantly earlier, right? Like, I think that's a great point is there are things and accidents that happen in the military that you cannot plan for. Like the med board one, you always get worried about. You're a bad jump away, you're a bad training exercise away, and then it's like, okay, what do I do? Like, how am I sustaining my style of living for me and my family? Or how can I go to another career if, I've just been doing con ops? Like, do I need to diversify my education? And like, is SFL TAP supposed to talk about some of this? Yeah, but it's not.
But it's too late.
It's too late in the game.
You're 12 months out, and you had TA for the whole time that you were in.
Exactly.
You can't use all your TA. Let's take a quick break, and I'll make sure that on your time.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'll be.
Three very high life stressors would be losing your job, your healthcare, losing your home. That's happening all at once to transitioning service members when they're getting out of the military. That's where INvets comes in, where you know everything on the back end is taken care of and you can focus on transitioning well. INvets is a 501c3 nonprofit dedicated to helping transitioning service members and their families find great careers and communities here in Indiana.
The way we usually connect with veterans is in-person events. They are assigned to a case manager, which is one of the 5 veteran engagement managers who are located in 5 regions around Indiana. They'll really work hard to connect with them. And then they complete the profile in more detail about the types of careers they want, the skills they have, where they might live, do they have a spouse. So it's a very personal service. And we try to match them with the right career, and we try to match them with the right community.
We take our job seriously, understanding that we're not selling somebody a thing, we're helping somebody move into the next phase of their life. That's not lost on us.
We are not moving one person, we're moving a whole family, and every member of that family has a different need. We try to have those open discussions about everything.
So what we realized was just helping somebody find a job when they get out of the military isn't enough. There's got to be more to it than that, especially if we want to create lifelong Hoosiers. So we started thinking about what can we do outside of helping people find great careers to get them connected to their community. Transition is not transactional, it's transformational. And it's something that we talk with our staff about all the time. We cannot look at transition out of the military as a transaction of leaving one job and going to another. It's a transformational moment in somebody's life, and we hope and believe that should be Indiana. And once they're here, we remind them that we're here for life. So if there's anything that you need once you've gotten here, you're looking for a volunteer opportunity, a way to get involved in your community, or you just need some resources for things that you're trying to take care of, whether it's some of your veteran benefits, you can reach back out to us and we're going to put you in contact with the right people to get you taken care of.